Millennium is a looping roller coaster at Fantasy Island in the United Kingdom. This ride has a unique layout circling the entire park, and it also tracks much better than you'd expect given its age. This is why I think it has a strong case as the best classic Vekoma looper, and I will explain why in this review. Millennium did not open in 2000 as you may suspect from the name. Rather, it opened 1 year earlier in 1999. This was the park's first major thrill ride, and we owe the park's future thrill rides to this coaster's success. The ride has undergone a few notable changes since its inception though. For its first 20 years, the ride sported yellow track and red supports. Ever since 2018, the ride has featured pink track and green supports. It is a bold and unique paint scheme that really stands out, especially because you can see this coaster from so many vantage points, both inside and outside the park. As I noted at the start, this ride circles the entire property. The ride's entrance was also moved. Fantasy Island is a free admission park with multiple ways to enter and exit the park. Millennium Station in particular is directly next to a roadway. Originally, the entrance was outside the park's boundaries. You had just a staircase from a sidewalk. You would then board the coaster from the right side of the platform. Fantasy Island is partially indoors, as much of the park is contained within a pyramid. Millennium's entrance and queue line are now located inside that pyramid. You now enter and exit from the left side of the load platform. The one awkward thing with this setup is that you still have the air gates on the right side of the platform, but they were never added to the left side. So rather than queuing for a specific row, seating is now on a first-come basis. The park lets just enough people through to fill the next train. If there is a specific row you want, the staff members were happy to let you wait an extra cycle for first pick of seats. I thought the forces were similarly good throughout the train, but I did have a slight preference for the front row for that unobstructed view, especially because this ride is so big on the visuals. I have only visited this park once on a summer Saturday, and it was fairly busy as you may suspect. If you visit on other days, you'll likely encounter less crowds. In the afternoon, Millennium had a full queue for me, which took roughly a half hour. The queue was entirely enclosed, but it had some fun lighting. Although the end of it smelled like poo all day long, which I'm hoping was just an isolated incident. In the evening, the ride was no more than a one train wait, so if you visit on a day with a late close, it may be prudent to save this ride for the evening. To access Millennium, you can either buy an all-day wristband or pay per ride. This coaster costs £6 per ride if you're paying individually. Millennium has just one train. That's fine for most days from what I understand. The train is fairly long at least. It seats up to 28 riders, as it has 7 cars, each with 2 rows of 2. Since you load and unload on the same side of the platform, there is a delay before new riders are allowed to board. Staff members will also admit extra people as needed if there are empty seats, which adds a little extra time. But once they start the restraint check, that moves at a reasonable clip. Riders are restrained solely by over-the-shoulder restraints, which is typical for most older Arrow and Vekoma looping coasters. I had heard this ride, and particularly Odyssey, were very sensitive to wind, and if you're unfamiliar with Ingold Mills, it is right on the water and quite breezy. I visited on a day with consistent 15 to 20 mile/hour winds and gusts topping out around the 30 to 35 mile/hour range. I was nervous these rides could be closed, but I am pleased to say that both rides were operational all day long for me. Now let's move on to the ride experience. Millennium begins with a lift hill directly out of the station that brings you to its max height of 150 feet or 46 meters. Once at the top, you have a twisted drop to the left. It is not nearly as tall as the lift, as you only drop 110 feet or 34 meters. The drop is not as steep or snappy as some other old school loopers, but it does have some light whip in the very back car. This leads to a vertical loop. This is the most forceful element on the ride. The front is pushed into it, getting good G's through the start of it. Those in back get great force as they are pulled through the end of it. The forces are more balanced and consistent in the middle of the train. Next is a section of straight track placed above the park's market. It is not a particularly exciting visual on-ride because you are whizzing over plain roofs, but it looks cool off-ride from the market area. This takes you into a sidewinder inversion. Those in front have solid force into the element. Meanwhile, those in back get okay whip coming out of it. This element fluidly leads to an elevated spiral. The low point offers some decent Gs. Then you rise upwards at the end. The exit has some excellent head choppers with the Odyssey roller coaster overhead, which was added 3 years after this coaster opened. You then have a straight and sizable drop. I was optimistic it would offer some airtime, but alas, there are no negative Gs to be had anywhere on this coaster. The drop does build up good speed though. Next is the third and final inversion, another vertical loop. It is not as intense as the first, but it still offers solid Gs throughout the train. Most old school loopers would then throw in a corkscrew or two, but Millennium is an unconventional finale because of its location. You have 3 elevated bunny hills above the midway. They are very gradual, so they are not the least bit forceful, but they are scenic and offer some cool views of the park because you're traveling directly above pathways and rides. Think of it as a high-speed monorail of sorts at this point. The final bunny hill leads directly into a helix. This offers decent positive Gs, and it's a fun finale. It also offers some cool visuals because it too is located directly above the midway. You then slam to a stop on the brakes. You may want to brace yourself for this. After a brief pause, you return to the station, ending the coaster. I have seen conflicting figures for this coaster's overall track length, but usually is reported as 2,736 feet or 834 meters long. That is a fine overall duration. In terms of pacing, Millennium has a few spots where it dials back the forces, namely that straight track and much of the second half's bunny hills. But the visuals are strong enough to keep me engaged and compensate. In terms of smoothness, Millennium was much better than anticipated. It is no secret that a lot of these older Vekoma loopers tend to be janky and have some really awkward transitions. This can lead to headbanging, especially if you're on the smaller side. Millennium is very well profiled and shockingly smooth. I did not come close to hitting my head once. This is one of the ride's strongest suits. So, what would I rate this coaster? I would give Millennium a 7 out of 10. This is a good looping coaster. It is a fun, high-speed tour of the park. The ride has 3 wild inversions and solid helixes. There are some gentler moments on the coaster, but the exciting sightlines start to finish more than compensate for me. Add in the smooth ride, and this is an enjoyable experience. I think this is easily Fantasy Island's best coaster, and it is one of the best classic Vekoma loopers. So those are my thoughts on Millennium at Fantasy Island. What are your thoughts on this looping coaster? Do you agree it's one of the better old school loopers? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.